Hi everyone, Megan McCann here, and I am so excited to have this beautiful lady with me here today who is going to be speaking at our live Soul Success Summit in Santa Barbara this April 6th and 7th. And for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to kind of do a deep dive into her business, what she does, how she got started. And before doing that, I real quick wanted to introduce myself. My name is Megan McCann, and I am the co-creator, the co-founder of the Soul Success Summit in Santa Barbara. And we have women who are flying in from all over the world in all different backgrounds to share their stories, to share their gifts with our room of female change makers. So the weekend is really a blend of how to take care of yourself, the self-love, the feminine with what we call the masculine piece to our business, the how to make more money, how to protect yourself, how to strategize and automate your systems so that you can have a well-balanced business. So today we have the opportunity to deep dive in with the amazing Katie Charleston. She is an online lawyer and entrepreneur and a legal resource for women out there. Hello, Katie.
Hi, Megan. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So first, I just wanted to get started and ask, how you found law and how you grew passionate about getting started in your field.
Okay, yeah, great. Actually, I can remember back in second grade, my mom actually still has a report that I wrote saying that I wanted to be a lawyer, which is hilarious.
Awesome.
But honestly, my parents divorced when I was young.
Okay.
I was about 5 years old when they separated, and I spent a lot of time in the court. I saw attorneys and judges, and I saw them as people that could help in situations of conflict, and I thought that was a good thing to do. And so I grew up just wanting to do that, wanting to help people and the community at large. And I don't do that in the same way. I'm not a divorce attorney. I don't do family law, but outside of law school, I started out as a criminal prosecutor. So I prosecuted felony and misdemeanor crimes, which I loved because I did that. I felt like I was helping the community at large by making sure that people were being law-abiding citizens and that victims got justice. And shortly thereafter, it's probably about a year into it, I realized I could actually do more. And that's when I left the prosecutor's office and went in-house for a business where I was very much involved in their litigation, but more so in their planning. And I just loved what I did. I was able to work with the owners and help grow the business until one day I was able to help them sell, which was their ultimate goal. So I jumped into this. I've been practicing now for over a decade, and probably about 8 years of that I've had my own practice where I help business owners create their businesses and grow and protect their businesses so one day they can retire like we all want to do.
That's so awesome. And it's so funny that you said that you always knew that you wanted to be in law since you were a little girl. 'Cause I did too, but my fate didn't turn out that way. But I think it's so important to, especially as women, that we learn how to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And make it, sometimes it can seem intimidating. I know for me, when I first got started, if I even thought about hiring a lawyer for anything, it seemed like a very scary thing to do, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because usually you see a lawyer when something's wrong.
Right, exactly.
But that's not always the case. And what I've learned is it can be such a valuable tool to really learn how to protect yourself, how to empower yourself by kind of getting the knowledge and the expertise from someone like you. So I would love, for those that are watching, I would love for you to share some of the common steps that a beginning entrepreneur would take, because I think that the legal world can seem very overwhelming and very confusing for us that are just getting started. So what are some of the top main things that you would cover with a beginning entrepreneur?
Well, one of the first things would be to set up an entity.
Okay.
A lot of solo businesses out there, it's they start off just on their own. They're not in a corporation. They don't have a partner, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But one of the best things you can do for yourself is to set up an entity, be it an LLC or a corporation. And what
Mhm.
that does is it provides a protection against liability.
Mhm.
So if something goes wrong in a contract, or you end up getting sued, even personally, that no one could touch your business assets, right? It provides a shield of liability, if you will. So that's the
Mhm.
number one thing I would do. Secondly, make sure you get contracts in place. Contracts with your vendors, contracts with your employers. It is so easy
Mm.
to want to trust people. And
Yeah.
you say, this is the way we're going to do things, handshake, and we're done. But really, you need to have everything in writing, because you never know when things are going to fall apart. And if they do fall apart, you want that writing to sort of back you up if need be.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
another thing is insurance.
Okay.
Make sure you have the right types of insurance for what you're doing. For instance, in law, we have to have malpractice insurance just to make sure we're covered. But there's also general liability and workman's comp, auto insurance if you have employees in the field. There's various types of insurance, and you want to make sure that you're set up right so that you're protected.
Mm. Yeah. And I think, sometimes we tend to learn things the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mhm.
know for me, it was, you mentioned, doing the handshake and working with friends. That kind of was how I started my business, was trusting people. And then unfortunately, sometimes you can't trust people. Sometimes you have to learn through, people not holding to their word, and having things like contract or insurance where somebody wants to sue you for what you think might be a bogus reason. And
Yeah.
it's just really so important that we have the tools to protect ourselves so that we don't end up losing our business or losing a ton of money along the way.
Right, exactly.
Are there
Exactly.
any stories that you could share as a learning experience, or maybe that you've heard from a client or from a colleague that might be able to um, help us learn something about protecting ourselves through legal?
Sure. Yes, I had one client out in California, and I'm currently in Indiana. I'm licensed in California, Indiana, Nevada, and Texas. So I have
Oh,
clients in
wow.
various states. And one of the great things about this, the online world is I'm able to practice in multiple jurisdictions. But one of my clients out in California hired an employee on at a low salary and a commission basis. And it was very much a handshake type deal where
Mhm.
they agreed on how much he would be paid, what percentage of the commission he would get, and um, what his job description was really. And this employee decided that he would end up actually, it's a service company, a construction company, and so he would go out and he would do the sales, and my client was paying him to do this in the manner that they discussed, but he decided he would on his own initiative actually go out on the job site and start working after hours, thinking that he would get paid what other employees in that same position were getting paid, and get paid at an overtime rate since he was working during the day as a salesman. And my client didn't get this in writing. It was before he hired me, of course. But he came to me because this client ended up going to the labor board and filing a lawsuit against him for not paying wages according to the agreement that he had with other employees. So
Mhm.
he wasn't getting paid hourly what the service workers were getting paid in the field, because he was on a commission. And my client thought this was okay, and it turns out it wasn't okay. It technically was two different jobs, and that my client knew that this employee was out there doing the job made it his obligation to pay him. And that's the way the law sees it. So even if you don't agree with it, if you accept the work being done, you're obligated to pay for it. So my client ended up, having to pay this person wages for this job that he did, even though it was outside of his job description. And a lot of business owners, they kind of just want to throw their hands in the air and say, well, you know what, he's doing it on his own initiative. We didn't agree to it. And unfortunately, the law doesn't see it the same way.
Wow.
So had they had that writing that said, this is your job description and nothing else unless you have something in writing from me to back him up, then he's obligated to pay the wages. So he was at a loss, and it turned out he let this go on for several weeks and ended up having to pay tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
it's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. And unfortunately, the way we often think is common sense isn't the same way the law is written.
Sure.
So it's important to make sure that we get everything in writing.
Yeah. You hear that, guys? Protect yourselves. Contracts.
Contracts. Yeah.
Oh, Katie, thank you so much. I know that I have a ton of more to learn from you and stories to hear. And I think when we talk about it, again, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can actually be a fun way to empower ourselves. Sure. And like I said, for me, learning and working with lawyers and learning more about how to protect my business has been such a beautiful way to gain control of my business and make it sustainable so that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love when clients come to me to help them plan so they don't end up in those bad situations. Sure. All right. I prefer the planning to the frantic call. Yeah, I'm in trouble. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, if you are excited to learn more from Katie, we would love to have you join us in Santa Barbara at the Soul Success Summit. Katie will be speaking at our April 6th and 7th summit at the Narrative Loft, just steps from the beach. And like I said before, the Soul Success Summit is a blend of what we call the masculine with the feminine, and really how to have a well-balanced business. It's going to consist of yoga, meditation, healthy food, wine and cocktail reception, blended with business workshops and mastermind. And the community of women who are a part of this summit are absolutely phenomenal. We have a Facebook group, and people are already starting to interact, hire each other, mastermind. And last event was so amazing because we had women who left feeling so empowered that they had their best months ever, selling out their programs to Soul Sisters in Success. And that really is our mission, is rather than feeling like we have to compete against each other, we have to be the better, the best then in our field, we elevate, we rise when we lock arms together. So thank you for being an example of that, Katie. And Katie, I know that you have an affiliate code. So if somebody wanted to follow you, a friend wanted to follow you to Santa Barbara, would you mind sharing your affiliate code?
Yes, it's just my name, all lowercase letters, Katie Charleston.
Awesome. So when you go to thesoulsuccesssummit.com, just click on the link to purchase your ticket, and you can enter the code right there for $100 off your ticket so that you can follow us. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to meet you in person in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.